Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and yes, I am back, baby. After a week out, I'm glad to be back with my friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. We also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. And back again, I know he was back last week, but I wasn't here last week to celebrate it. Mr. Applezack, Zach Markham is with us tonight. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Yeah, man, doing great, man. We got the whole gang back together for the first time in like months.
Say it like you're happy.
3 months, right?
I have no
At
idea.
least. No, longer than that.
4 months?
Like four and a half months.
Wow, that's wild, man. But
Yeah, man.
Markham, welcome back.
Yeah,
man.
dude, thank
we
you.
appreciate
Thank
having
you.
you here, especially for Star Wars content, man. We love
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Yep.
Very convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
He skipped out on all things he didn't care about, and he's back just to talk Star Wars.
There you go.
Yep.
Smart man.
Yeah, dude.
Meanwhile, I've forgotten how to, drink this beverage that I just spilled all over my shirt. So, anyways, excited to be doing a review on The Mandalorian. This was chapter 20, episode number 4 on the season, right? It was called The Foundling, and we are here to review it. Before we get into that, big shout out to all of our listeners, everybody who's watching. We want to remind you to please hit the subscribe button wherever you are watching or listening. Please leave us a comment, leave us a review. If you're on Apple, leave us one of those nice 5-star reviews. That helps us out a lot. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. And then also just share the podcast with all your friends. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod, whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on multiple different platforms, so check us out and stay up to date with everything that's going on.
Perfect.
Sound
Way to go,
good?
T-Roll.
I
I like
crushed that one,
having
didn't
I like having you back, man.
crushed
because
that one, didn't I?
I butchered that last week, but yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it, but I'm sure you did.
It makes sense. Okay.
All right, well, here's your spoiler warning for The Foundling, Chapter 20 of The Mandalorian, okay? It was a little short episode. It was only
Yes.
like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was an action-packed... there's a lot of depth in those 30 minutes.
That's
so.
how you do, this episode right here is how you do a short episode. Every minute counts. Like, it felt like every moment was not wasted. And then I love that, man. I really do. And for some reason, their shorter episodes have been some of their best episodes in this saga that since Mandalorian's come about. It's been great. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, T-Roll, well, you did not see last week's episode, or you did not watch on the podcast.
I watched it.
Yeah, you watched it, but you didn't get to give your comments. So, what do you think last week's episode?
It was really weird. Caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I felt like, one of the, when you like wake up at 3 a.m. and the TV's still running and you're like, what show is on? And you're not sure what show it is.
Yeah.
It's essentially what it felt like watching last week's episode.
Out of place, right? It felt a little out of place.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. Like
Yeah.
there was some interesting things. But it's I told off the pod, I told this to Amato. It's like, I remember in the Book of Boba Fett, like there was a couple episodes where they were just basically Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah.
He reminded me that one of them, you literally don't even see Boba Fett. And
Yeah,
this
that's true.
and when I went back on the screen to see the time for tonight's episode, it was 33 minutes. Last week's was 50 freaking 9.
It's
an
it's
hour.
insane. It's
Yeah,
wild.
dude.
So it was so long. It like kept going and kept going and kept going. And every time it looked like they were going to take a break, I was like, okay, we're going to get back to
Nope.
the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan and nothing. And so I want to be really critical because you remember how critical I was at the beginning of
for sure.
of
Yeah.
this season. But I guess what I'll say, here's my critical feedback, is Star Wars has always, I think for the most part, across the board, kind of set the pace for these series, right? Especially when you compare it to like Marvel series.
Right, yeah.
But they also, in some of their projects, like The Mandalorian and really everything outside of Andor, there have been moments of, what the heck are they doing?
Yeah,
like
you question it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's moments of doubt.
Yeah, like either like way too long on like a side mission or something that literally doesn't have anything to do with The Mandalorian or Boba Fett. And again, I understand that there might be a connection with Moff Gideon and, but it just felt like you could have done that in half the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my soapbox. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It just, it felt like a completely different show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm glad I asked you. So
I will say this was the second episode in a row where we saw a major scene on Coruscant. So I'm wondering, like, what is going to happen with that? Because that seems like it is potentially not a mistake that they just happen to have two significant scenes on Coruscant in this series, especially because they show literally the same landmark in both of these episodes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to see where that's going to go. Like, it kind of makes me think of, okay, maybe they're purposefully laying the groundwork for something, and we just don't quite know what we're looking at yet, you know?
And you know what? I can see that. I really can. I can see them trying to, I don't know, some sort of mission on Coruscant.
Yeah.
Or setting up something huge.
Like,
That's
like
good.
maybe
Good catch.
maybe there's a blue guy who happens to be on Coruscant, you know?
And, I'm going to geek out here for a second.
Let's hear it.
I'm pretty sure that Coruscant is somewhere tied, like, way back in time to, like, Mandalorian culture and stuff like that. So there might be some, connection there as far as, like, looking for some artifact or, like, something like that, with the mythosaur, popping up. I could see something along those lines.
And you know what? I can 100% see somebody who lives on Coruscant wanting to purchase some sort of artifact from the Mandalore. Like, I can 100% see that. Like
that rock actually is not a rock. It is the
mythosaur.
Yes. It is a part of a dormant mythosaur.
If only. That's crazy.
And
that's wild.
only a true Mandalorian can awaken it.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
See, that's when you start diving into like the
Sword
realm
in the stone.
Yeah, the realm of craziness, man. I don't know. But but this episode, it was great to have a central story around the actual Mandalorian / Mandalorians, and not veer off to Dr. Pershing and Kane. So
this is the way, bro.
This is the way. But we get another crazy creature, right? And like we got that the alligator-looking creature in the first episode, and then we get this looking dragon creature,
pterodactyl,
very
thing,
much so. So I was excited to see that. And you know what? The crazy thing is that this. I think we said this on one of the previous pods, but the CGI. It's like they focused all their efforts in this show, and they abandoned it in Marvel shows and Marvel movies. Like that's how crazy it is, man. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that opening scene of like the desert looking at, like, I was just like, whoa, what are we watching right now? Like, this is like beautiful scenery.
You see, I actually thought this was the first time I've actually seen a drop in some quality of the CGI, but not with any of the scenery. It was actually with the Mandalorians. I feel like when they panned in on their combat, it looked wonky. It looked weird. It looked a little wonky.
Well,
the creatures were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were.
The landscapes were phenomenal, but I did feel like there was like a little bit like CGI like jumpiness with the like they didn't get enough background actors. Is kind of how I felt.
To be honest, man, like the extras they probably used were like hardcore Disney fans, and they already had their Mandalorian costumes at home. Just brought it to
See, those were
funny.
probably actually good, but there were definitely some computer generated figures that I feel like they just kind of threw in there to give them more numbers, and it didn't mesh as well.
See, I think the thing that's standing out for me for the opening scene is that it was just weird in general. Like, obviously, okay, cool, it's a training scene. We get that, we see that, but it's a strange one. Like you kind of pan through this whole entire setup. You have some people randomly shooting into the waters. Like I feel like, what purpose is that serving? There's no target. They're just literally shooting things. Like it makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And then you go to them sparring, and then like all that stuff makes sense. And then we finally land on Grogu, right? But like the shooting and randomly flying with your jetpack when your fuel apparently runs out sooner than it should. Maybe that's why they didn't catch the dragon in the first place, is because they used all their fuel going up and down.
I 100%, and I was like, they're wasting a lot of ammunition here. Like, for a group that is like kind of secluded,
surviving,
and just barely surviving in a lot of ways, it seems like they're wasting a lot of ammunition.
Yes, it was just a strange scene overall, I thought. So I don't know.
Although I don't know enough about like blaster, recharging and how that actually works for it to actually mean anything, but more physical stuff like the rockets and things. I mean, they've been shown to have limited capabilities in that sense.
Well, maybe beforehand, like they didn't waste all that ammunition, but they did this one time because the foundling that was captured happened to be like Paz Vizsla's son, right?
Well,
So
I'm talking about in the training sequences before, like when they were just like
Opening
literally
scene,
like just like shooting off into the water.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it seems so pointless.
Maybe they recovered it. Like maybe they had like a net or something. They recovered their ammo. And,
They're recovering random blasts of blaster energy.
yeah, man. I mean, we don't know how Star Wars works.
We
It's
don't.
It's a galaxy far, far away.
Nobody knows how it works.
It's very
Yeah,
true.
Exactly.
It's very true. So how about Mando and Bo-Katan both getting redeemed
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude.
in the eyes of the cult, whatever they're called, the Way Walkers.
Yeah,
what are they
Children
called?
of the Watch.
Children of the
Children of
Watch.
the
Yes. Yeah.
Way Walkers. But
So this is the way, right? They
yeah.
walk
What do you guys think about the? What do you guys? So Grogu's training session, right? What do you guys think of like Mando and Bo-Katan kind of playing that like mother-father role? Like, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I didn't like it.
It was Bo-Katan coming in there kind of felt a little off, right? Like
The
Mando's.
whole thing felt off to me.
I mean, I supported Mando and his attempt to be like the father figure, but like Bo-Katan coming in, like he's just proud of you, like that's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I did feel like she's kind of sticking her hands a little bit too far into. It's kind of like dad got a new girlfriend, and like all of a sudden, like it's 2 weeks in, and she's trying to get you to call her mom, and it's like, whoa, take your foot off the pedal there.
Are you speaking from experience, Shimato? Like,
No,
but that's funny though. I
But-
get that. That's how it feels though. I think.
but
you're
yeah,
right.
it does kind of feel like she's just like jumping in a little bit too far. I mean, I do understand it from Mando's point of view in the sense of like this is how he was raised, so he feels this is how a foundling should be raised, and all this stuff that now as he I think he's also we got to remember that all this stuff is new for him, and especially from the sense of although we're over 2 seasons in, the first 2 seasons he doesn't really although he's technically a foundling, his mission isn't to raise him as a foundling. His mission is to get him to the Jedi.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's his quest to get him to the Jedi. It's not to raise him as a Mandalorian foundling. And I think since the end of season 2, and since he has come back to him from Luke, he is now has a whole new dynamic with him that he's now trying to train him as if he were a Mandalorian foundling.
Yeah, and we've seen glimpses of that in previous episodes where he's like teaching him how to map
Yes.
and guidance and flying and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Mando giving him instruction, and we get to see Grogu in action. It gives me hope for a potential big fight scene, including Grogu later on, potentially maybe even Grogu holding the Darksaber, right? Like how crazy would that
That'd
be?
be super cool. I do think I have a feeling that what Grogu was doing when Mando was thinking he was doing nothing, I feel like he was building a star map. That is my opinion, is that he was building a star map around him with those hermits. That's my call, is I think he's like, I feel like the way that he was moving them, and it, like at first I thought I was gonna be wrong because I thought he was about to eat that hermit he normally does.
Right,
but he
but he
just
didn't
kind of
try
looked
to.
at it.
Yeah.
He didn't really do anything with it. I feel like he was building a star map, and that it was another connection back to the things that he's learning. He's learning other things about how to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I like that, but I feel like we're gonna get no closure on that. So
Probably
but
not.
Yeah, but yeah. But then Grogu goes in with the armorer, which I thought was pretty
Yes.
incredible.
That was a
Well-
phenomenal scene.
Yeah.
Like altogether, like I love the way that they did that, and like they started off with like the significance of like creating the armor and how like it started off and the importance it provides to like a part of being a Mandalorian.
Right.
It literally mirrors Mando's first armor scene.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But with this one, like Grogu's seeing the armor at work, and it like pushes him into a flashback
Yeah.
scene. So then it like immediately like connects him, to where like he has feeling and all this other
Yes.
stuff involved. Where like if he does get his armor later on, it's going to mean something.
Yes. Yeah. And then we get to see all the cool things from Coruscant that were in there. We get
Wow, you like genocide, huh? Real cool.
Yeah, but say we get an Order 66 flashback.
Yeah, real cool.
I mean,
by the way,
Order 66
yeah.
was
Any-
a phenomenal scene.
any Order 66 content, I'm here for. No matter
It
how
is
many
great.
times we've seen it throughout the entirety of the Star Wars
Yeah.
lore, it's a phenomenal.
And we got more, right? Because we've known that they like evacuated him out somehow.
Right.
Yes.
But we didn't really we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
The
Until this.
redemption of Jar Jar Binks.
This
Dang
is what
it,
the-
dude.
that's
I wanted to say it.
This
I
is what
wanted
it
to
is.
say it
This
so
is what
bad.
it is, man. And T-Roll's like, wait,
I have no
what's
idea what
going
you guys
on
are
right
talking
now?
about.
What are you guys talking
So
about?
the guy that plays the Jedi that gets
Kelleran,
him out was the guy who played Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Jedi, Kelleran Beck, and
Yes.
he
Okay, so
is
like the literal actor.
Yes.
the actor,
Okay,
voice
great,
actor,
great.
mocap actor is
Yes.
Okay.
it's him. But it was great to see, man. It was
Yeah.
it was awesome.
So basically, there's two things that happen this episode. You got everything with the dragon and getting Paz Vizsla's kid back, and then you have everything with Grogu and his flashback.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about all that now. I mean, the flashback was epic. I always wonder how they, Jedi look so OP when they're, facing off against blasters across like
Right.
10, 12, however many movies there are. Except for Order 66 somehow, where they just get mowed down.
They do. That's a good point, T-Roll, because
There's no consistency there.
Well, okay, so I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of the clones at this point had fought a long time with Jedi, so they may have been able to understand and have counter abilities to the Jedi. Number two, the Jedi were fighting up. The other side of that is the Jedi were fighting against a force that they were used to be allies with, so they aren't 100% like there in that sense of killing those people. And then you have the fact that you got to think about what Jedi are you used to seeing fight against blasters? You're used to seeing top tier Jedi, like the elite Jedi. Not every Jedi is as awesome with a lightsaber as Anakin Skywalker was. Not every Jedi was as awesome as Obi-Wan was. Right. There are a ton of Jedi who were much more lower down in ability. So you have to think about that. So you're thinking about, because you never think about, you don't never think about the guy, the guy who was like last in his class.
Look, I don't want your
who was a
logic,
Jedi.
Amato. I don't want your logic.
The-
The point is that they got mowed down way too easily.
They
really did. They really did.
The other thing is they were facing against like separatists, which was, in my opinion, was a much weaker opponent versus the clones, and I feel like it was planned that way, where like they were supposed to be a challenge, but not so much as a challenge where like the Jedi would like improve on their skills. Like once the clones like turned on them, it was going to be like no match.
Well, I'm taking us down a rabbit hole. So it was just a side comment. The bigger thing is, I guess my question for you guys is this Kelleran guy, is he significant in Marvel lore, or is that just some dude that got him out that we've never
Star
heard of?
Wars lore.
How would I say Marvel?
Yeah, you
My
did.
bad.
You did.
Yeah, Kelleran, Marvel, anything
So
there?
he goes back to I think it was a YouTube series where it was I know exactly. It was called the Jedi Challenge.
Like fan made?
Not really. I mean, it's like half and half.
What does that mean?
It's like it was a cool idea, and then like they kind of brought it to light, that kind of thing. But Ahmad Best played Kelleran Beck as it's called the Jedi Challenge, and they kind of just continue it and brought it over to.
But it's not canon.
It's not canon. Well, it wasn't canon, but now it is canon. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was basically Kelleran Beck was overseeing the younglings, and he would issue challenges to help like train them. So his main purpose is youngling training. That's Kelleran Beck's.
Which would make sense why he would be
there you
so
go.
connected and so like fierce about protecting
The guy to get him out.
young
Yeah,
man. Yes.
and it brings more light to the statement he makes when they actually when they crash and they land, and then the pilot comes up to him. He's like, "Did you get the rest? Are they the rest of them out? Like that kind of thing? Is there anybody else coming?" And he says, "No, this is it. It was because they had an escape plan to get the younglings out, but
Yeah.
it failed because the other Jedi's couldn't hold their own,
Yeah.
and Kelleran had no choice but to just get
got
Grogu.
mowed down.
no one
Yeah.
because no one was in the
Easily.
room.
Right? Oh, well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, hey.
Well, somebody was in the
Yes.
room, and it was Anakin.
Yes.
So the wrong person was in the room. But yeah. So Kelleran Beck had some sort of back lore, but it's nothing to concern yourself about. T-Roll. I'm sorry about.
So does that mean? But I mean, will we see this guy again? Maybe.
Hopefully.
Maybe we'll see how it is.
I need a counter on how many Jedi are alive, like right now.
I think
That would
no.
be
Trust
cool.
me, I do too. We all need that counter. I feel like we need to see. I don't know who made it, who survived.
I mean,
Is Mace
who
Windu
knows?
out there? Fun fact though, Kelleran Beck actually has a purple lightsaber, but they didn't want to do it in the
because he's
in the
black.
Show. Yeah, they didn't want. Well, not that, but they didn't want to do it because
It was
The
too
black
close
guys
to connection.
always have purple.
no,
what are they
because it
trying to
was
say?
too Mace Windu-y. That's
Yes,
why they didn't want
they
to do that.
didn't. They didn't want to show up and people be like, "Oh, let's Mace Windu,"
Yeah,
and then
that's why.
feel like they got
'Cause-
cheated because it wasn't Mace
But
Windu.
he does actually have a purple lightsaber, so
Isn't that funny?
that's great. I love
Funny
it.
how that works. Well, it was epic. I mean, it was an epic flashback, an
Yeah,
epic
it really
sequence. I hope we get like a part 2 of that. Like, where does that ship go?
You know what? I think we might. I really do,
Yeah,
especially
same.
since Grogu's on this like self journey,
Yeah,
like of
the
trying
way
to figure
trauma,
out
the way trauma flashbacks happen. Like next time he's seeing armor being made or a
Yeah.
loud noise, we might see it in part 2. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm all here for it, man. I am. More Grogu, the better. The
All right.
backstory.
How about the dragon? You know, Bo-Katan. She's like, screw the jetpack. I'm just gonna get on my ship.
Oh yeah, exactly. She flies by him. That's good. And no, the funny thing is that they're all
was
losing
great.
fuel, and they're like, and then they land, and Paz Vizsla is talking to Mando. He's like, "Yeah, we can never keep up with the dragon." Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? What do you mean you never keep up with the dragon? How many times does this happen? And then later on, we see the nest
Like,
with the helmet.
stay in the
Yeah.
cave.
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing out here? Like, don't you
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes? Like.
No, they're still on the shore.
He's
Who
like,
knows
yeah,
if there's more
yeah.
of those alligators out
He's
there?
like,
Yeah.
well, we know there is more because the dragon meets his demise.
Yeah.
with the alligator.
Yeah,
But-
that's convenient.
But
He
yeah,
was,
I
like,
thought
right
it was. I
nearby.
thought it was funny. He was like, "Yeah, we never make it this far."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was just it was
Another
just funny.
poor life decisions he
Yeah.
made here.
Yeah, he
You
always
know,
gets away. Like
You,
I-
you
the
choose
actual
anywhere
plot.
in the galaxy, but you choose a place where these things are just feasting on you.
But then Bo, you just uses her brain and like follows the dragon in the ship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think this leads to a bigger conversation with Bo-Katan. Like, what's her play here?
Yes.
Like, is it a political grab, or do you think she's truly like falling into
Really changing?
Yeah. And my personal opinion is that she's really changing because you guys ripped me a new one 2 weeks ago about how I saw things with Bo-Katan. But
No. You that was well deserved.
it doesn't look that way now.
No. What we were saying is that
I was wrong for my take, is what you're saying.
yes, but like because we're not saying she's changing. We're saying that at the moment that you thought she was changing, we were like, hell no, she's not changing.
What we were saying
just
is
saw it,
the
man, in
change
my
was
head.
coming it happened significantly after the moment you thought it
Yeah,
was happening.
significantly after.
Fair point. But I'm there now. Where
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page now. I think
Well, now you make me want to go on the other side.
you do it.
Maybe I will.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah. But
No, I mean, I think she's on a journey for sure. I mean, you could just see her, the way she's asking the armor questions. And
yeah, but
Yes.
the mythosaur, and I didn't think she was
Yeah.
going to drop the. I saw it, but she did, and then
Yeah.
the armor was like a
vision.
vision. Yeah, it was very noble vision to
Yes.
be able to see that. Like that's just wild, man. And
I can't figure
It's
the
like,
armor
no,
out.
like a real one.
And then she's like, "This is the way." I'm like, "Well, does that mean you believe her?" Or I think she's like the armor is just like a very seems like a very trusting, wise sage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great.
You know what I
fair point.
mean?
Fair
Yeah.
point.
Like
100%.
it's like she holds true to the creed, obviously, first and foremost. But after that, it's like she really trusts everyone in there.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, okay." Like so with Mando, she's like, "Yeah, I mean the mines are destroyed, but you need to go figure it out if you think you can."
If you want to be
Yeah.
reinstated,
And then he's
right?
like, "All right, I'm going to do it." She's like, "This is the way." And then she's like, and then Bo-Katan's like, "Yeah, I found the mythosaur," and she's like, "Oh, yeah, it was a great vision to have." No, I think I really saw it. Oh well, you know, you
that-
walk the way of the Mandalore, you'll see a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's so, yeah.
It's her
Good
way of
point.
saying, like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Great point, man.
But like, if it turns out the mythosaur is real and it wasn't a vision, which we believe it is real,
Yeah.
every other Mandalorian's gonna be like, "What?"
yeah.
And their armor's gonna be like, "Yep."
Yep.
That's
Is,
just steady.
is the armorer the child's mother?
The child's mother.
Child
Ragnar.
Oh, okay. You know, I don't know.
Do you think like the armor and Paz got it on?
Maybe?
I'm just
No, I don't
like,
think so.
I
They've
don't
been
know. I just
together
throw
the
out there as a
longest.
possibility.
Yeah.
I do wonder how intimate it really is when you're wearing those masks, those helmets, though.
That's true. Good
Yeah.
a
point.
true connection. You know?
Wow. Good
Yep.
point, Hero.
But to them, it's
Physical
all
act,
the
man.
connection.
What'd you say?
I said, but to them, it's all the connection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
This is the way.
I guess so. I
This
mean,
is
if
the
you're
way.
into those kind of, if you're into wearing certain
Yeah.
things, I guess.
But one of the scenes that stood out to me about Bo-Katan and her like potential power grab is when they were sitting around the campfire, right?
Yeah.
And then Paz says, "No, you stay here to eat, and you get the warmth of the campfire." And just the way she kind of reacted with her helmet on. We're not seeing any facial expressions, but we can feel it. I really feel like we can feel it with the helmet on. You can kind of feel like she's like, you know what? I think I'm winning these people over. I think there's a potential here to turn over a new leaf.
Well, she's redeeming her own clan.
Yeah, and
I'm assuming she's the last of her clan.
That's yes.
Yeah.
Right? So like she's redeeming her entire clan now.
Potentially, like House Kreese is potentially like getting a redemption arc here.
Yeah.
So
and I think what she's seeing too is she's seeing a more loyal group of Mandalorians versus what she
grew up with, right?
Yeah, what she came up with.
Because what she grew up with was like the radical craziness, and she's under the impression that these are the radical craziness, but she's seeing it play out differently.
Yeah, she's seeing how, although they may be radically crazy
right,
in some ways, but they live by a code that might be more suiting to her own vision.
Correct.
Right.
Dude.
Exactly.
The best part of this episode, shout out to freaking Disney for doing this. They're sitting at the campfire, and Bo-Katan's like, how do you eat if everyone's around? And I just love when they ask a really simple question like that.
Everyone has been asking.
We've been wondering. Yes, it's literally, that's right, Amano. We've all been asking it. It's literally for the fans. And then you have Din Djarin just like simply explains it. Like it's not a big deal. Yeah. And I'm just like, thank you, Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
It was great.
You don't. You walk off somewhere and you eat it by yourself. That's great, man.
Man, that's kind of sad though. You never.
Well, then
get
you
to
also
eat
got
with-
the explanation of like, well, with Grogu, you're like, why is he not taking the helmet? And he's like, oh, well, he can't speak the creed. If he's not old enough to speak the creed, then
you gotta be able to-
that whole thing, like you're like, because why isn't Grogu getting his helmet? That
Which
kind of thing.
actually, in the previous episode, they built the background of that as well because Ragnar did not have the helmet on yet because he had not spoken the creed either.
Yep.
So
good
you
stuff,
kind
man.
of get that like
it's-
previous scene too. Yeah.
It's gonna be a long time before he gets a helmet.
Yeah.
I don't think he's speaking anytime soon.
It doesn't look like it.
No.
He's still just mumbling and grumbling. Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
I think
Coos.
I think purposefully Disney and Star Wars want to prolong that as long as humanly possible, just because
It's like
of the fact-
2030, and we're like, okay, when is he gonna get the helmet on?
Yeah, just because of the fact of him having his helmet, not having helmet on, his facial features, is like so much a part of his character.
Who knows, guys? Maybe we might get 9 movies out of it. Like,
a whole saga, the
Yeah.
Grogu saga instead of the Skywalker
Grogu
saga.
saga.
Yeah. You know what? I'm here for it. I'll be there.
A word per saga.
I don't know if I'd want that, but I'm just gonna be honest with you.
It's okay, man. It's
Now,
okay.
if you give me 9 seasons of Andor, I'm all in.
Ooh.
You know,
But
I'd be all in.
I'll just take one.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'd be all in too.
All right, what else? I mean, we kind of. They saved the raptor babies.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
funny.
so-
I did have a thought like, oh man, now that those poor baby raptors are not
Without a
going to
mom, yeah.
eat. Yeah, like I was literally thinking that, like, oh, they're not going to eat. Like they're done. But
Which kind of like it enforces the idea of the fact that they have foundlings and that they're not one specific species.
Yeah.
You know, like that is not how Mandalorians are kind of like built.
Grogu's not humanoid, or you
No.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you kind of you kind of just think along that path in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think that creatures out there can technically become
Foundling, yeah.
Are they going to get
of some
helmets
sort.
before Grogu?
Well, no, I think. Well, no, not at all. I don't think. But
I mean, they're
is
gonna,
Bo-Katan Khaleesi?
no, that's what I think. I think these dragons are going to grow up and like we're going to see them riding them. Like,
I think so.
You're gonna have Din, Bo-Katan, and
armor.
Paz.
Paz probably.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see any riding going on at all unless it's like a mythosaur this season. But I do think eventually we will see like a mounted one of those dragons, and I think it's cool
it's
to
pretty
see
sweet.
how it started. That's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Like I know we killed your mom,
They don't know that.
but
They don't know that. They just came back and scooped up in the shit.
I know.
That was it.
I know that we killed your mom, but you'll never know that.
Yep.
It's like that secret you get when you're finally like
That's-
18.
That's tough, man. That is tough.
I mean,
Hey, sit down. We need to tell you something.
Yeah, you're adopted. That's what.
It's the Thanos style of taking children.
Yeah,
perfectly
Kinda-
balanced. Yeah.
kind of is.
Jeez.
I mean, that's
This took a
exactly
turn.
what Thanos
This took a
did.
turn. This took a turn.
This is the way.
I do have an idea. Like, how much has Grogu interacted with Boba? I don't remember exactly how much he has actually seen Boba.
Dude, make me think.
I don't know if he did. Did he ever? Did Grogu ever show up in the Book of
never
Boba
did.
Fett?
No, never did.
So is
Would've
there?
only been
I
season
think there's
one.
a distinct possibility at some point a trigger for Grogu will be Boba because he has the same voice as the clone troopers, And there was very distinct moments of clone troopers speaking in this episode.
that's
a good
Like,
shout.
I was like,
That's a good shout.
like you
Yes.
could really tell that was Tamura speaking as the clones.
I agree. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even think about a potential Boba Fett appearance in this season. Until right now, until you said, I was like, oh, you know what? We could actually get that.
I basically operate that they're gonna always do something like that, with the exception of Andor. They've always kind of leaned on some sort of cameo. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that'll happen at some point. But I really like that theory, Shimano. That's actually
It's a great theory. Really,
Yeah, it's a really cool theory.
yeah. That's great. That's great. Okay, last call. Any other thoughts on chapter 20?
On chapter 20,
Or just speculation, whatever you want to do.
You know what? I think chapter 21, whatever it's titled, it needs to address what the heck happened to Bo-Katan's castle and like who's after them, like we need to start getting some answers with that because we do understand that Din's story is going to be from here on out like potentially since he's redeemed is raising a foundling, right? Like that kind of thing. But Bo, I feel like her storyline now I'm more involved in because what happened to her castle? What is her motives? Where is her character going from here? Because I feel like there's more things to be invested in with that rather than okay, cool. You're teaching Grogu stuff. That's
what I could potentially seeing is her being tracked and her staying with this the Creed and everything, and eventually whoever was after her and whoever bombed her castle find her like with the Creed and puts the Creed in danger.
So she causes the problems.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, kind of the same thing that kind of happened in Boba Fett with the Tuskens, and basically all these times these heroes end up somewhere and they put wherever they're at risk because of their general existence.
So it's literally John Wick.
Yeah, you know what? Essentially, you're right.
Sure. Right, great.
Yeah.
Which is a crossover, a reference to our other podcast this week. So check that out. We're doing a review of
John Wick 4.
Chapter 4, yeah. So
Great stuff.
not as many chapters as The Mandalorian, but we hope so.
Yes, we do. We really do.
Okay, on that note, you guys good to call this quits?
Oh, yeah, let's do it, man. Throw in the towel.
All right. Yeah, we're throwing in the towel. Come back next week for our review of Chapter 21. Please follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. Please hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. Share the podcast with your friends and leave us a comment or review. With all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy Shimano and Apple Zax, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.